What are some of the best ways to combat daily body fatigue 16 months post injury? So, daily body fatigue is likely to be a deconditioning type of event as well. You have patients following concussion that will, react or respond by, lying in bed, or bed rest is often prescribed for patients with concussion for a yet unknown reason. Unfortunately, this is still happening. So, dark rooms, lying in bed, doing nothing, not socializing, not exercising, not playing sports, your body becomes physically deconditioned to the point where even mild stressors like going up a flight of stairs or cleaning the bathroom, ultimately then you're just like, oh my God, I'm so drained from that minimal activity. Some of you are probably even finding this on the lockdown from the pandemic. I haven't been able to go to the gym because of the lockdown, and like I'm finding that I'm becoming deconditioned as well, right? I've been trying to do body weight stuff like push-ups and squats and stuff, but I don't really have any access to weights. But you start to realize that you're becoming, deconditioned gradually as time goes, right? And this has only been a couple months. So for those of you that are out there 16 months after injury, if you haven't been regularly exercising and keeping up with that, you're likely super, super, super deconditioned. So anything you do is going to cause this, fatigue response. But I will give you 4 things. First, get your blood work checked. Now, there can be things like hormone imbalances. You could have a thyroid issue. Oftentimes after concussion, people will end up with these pituitary hormone dysregulations. And so thyroid is one of those. Thyroid is your energy. It's your whole metabolic rate. If you have a thyroid issue, then that can be picked up in your blood, and there's treatment for that, right? So that can have extreme fatigue with it. Adrenals, right? Your adrenal glands as well, which is your sympathetic nervous system, but those can become dysregulated as well and cause all sorts of fatigue. And anemia. So have your irons level checked, your ferritin levels checked, those types of things. Get a good blood work done to make sure that there isn't something that's going on from a systemic standpoint. Also, then start taking a look at your diet. Right? We eat a lot of refined carbohydrates in the North American diet, and oftentimes what that does is spike your sugar levels and cause these collapses, which increase your level of fatigue. So try to eat whole foods, good quality meat. Don't eat anything that comes in a box, nothing that's refined, and try to be higher on the fat and lower on the carbohydrates and the sugars, right? Bread is essentially sugar. Pastas are essentially sugar. People don't look at it the same way, but that's essentially what it is. When you're eating a piece of bread, you're essentially eating a flat piece of sugar. So think about it that way. Try to increase your fat intake. Try to eat more healthy. Avoid, antibiotic, hormone, all that type of stuff that can be in our food. Try to eat organic as much as possible, but really get the blood work checked, and then just eat clean as you can, and that will help. Number 2 on that one, best ways to combat daily fatigue. Sleep. I already talked about earlier in this episode, good quality sleep. So trying to get light exposure early in the day, avoiding blue light exposure at night, because blue light suppresses melatonin and wakes you up, which is why it's good in the morning, but bad in the evening. If you're on screens, if all your lights are on in your house, that will suppress your melatonin. Melatonin is what helps you to fall and stay asleep, and it's secreted in pure darkness. So you want to have a lot of light exposure during the day, get outside during the day to get that light stimulation in the eyes, and then at night try to really reduce the amount of light and avoid screens altogether in the evening. That will help. And also eating larger portion meals in the day, smaller portions at night, and avoiding sugars and carbohydrates at night. And I've noticed that to be a big thing for myself. If I eat, a piece of dessert after my dinner, then my deep sleep is like 8%, which it should be up like higher than 20. And if I don't do that, and if I just eat like, steak and some veggies, no carbohydrates whatsoever, my deep sleep is like 23%, which is really good. So that's where you kind of want to stay. Exercise every day, especially if your body fatigue is due to deconditioning. You want to be exercising every day to build up your tolerance, right? It will cause fatigue while you exercise, but guess what? That's kind of what you have to do. You have to start pushing that boundary, and eventually that line gets further and further away, and day-to-day tasks don't cause fatigue anymore. It's just getting yourself back into shape, and you have to be consistent. You can't work out once and think that that's enough. You have to do this every single day, and you have to push a little bit beyond what your levels are. And finally on this list is anxiety and stress. Anxiety and stress can be so draining. I don't know if any of you out there have ever had a panic attack, but if you've ever had a panic attack, you're just dead afterwards, right? Your body goes crazy, your mind goes crazy. It's just releasing all sorts of stress compounds, and it just wipes you out completely. So if your mind is constantly racing and you're constantly under a lot of stress and anxiety, that is going to cause a lot of fatigue. So try to do things that can reduce that fatigue. The things we've already talked about in this episode. Told you there'd be a bit of repetition here, but all the things above, right? Proper diet, proper sleep, meditation, exercise, deep breathing exercises. All of these things can actually help to reduce your stress and anxiety. Talk therapy. And if you really, really need it, which I don't recommend being the first go-to, but potentially some medication for a short course of time.